Denny Taylor, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it, mate.
Thank you, Perry. Thanks for having me.
You are in Double Bay?
We're in Rose Bay.
Rose Bay, okay.
I've been in Rose Bay for over 20 years, 25 years.
The reason I asked you to come in is because you've been in the industry just over 20 years.
Correct, yes.
Always in the East.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit more about where you started. Let's say you're born and bred in Sydney?
Wasn't born in Sydney, was born in South Africa, but came to Australia in 92, where I came into year 7 school. Finished school, all friends went to uni. I wanted to concentrate on my advertising degree. So I went to work for one of the big up-and-coming offices in the Eastern Suburbs.
Yeah.
Do we mention names?
Yes.
Probably a good idea. So I worked for John McGrath. Straight out of school, but went into their marketing division.
Wow.
That was on New South Head Road. Their offices were in the Raymond Wheel building. I don't know if you know it. It's on New South Head Road, just before Darling Point Road.
Yeah.
So I worked for the marketing division, but working for them, at the time I was doing lineage advertisements, and they were big in the Wentworth Courier. The Wentworth Courier back then used to be that thick. And it was a great tool for agents.
Yeah.
So I worked for the marketing division, but then that office was a really innovative office which was changing the real estate landscape at the time. So gone were the days of the little shop fronts with little windows, little A4 photocopies. This was an office run by John. Really top agents were working there at the time. A young James Dack with Ben Collier as his assistant. Pauline Goodyear with Alex Phillips as her assistant. So it really created. Adrian Bowe was there.
Wow.
Look, Ivan Brezic was in property management. So the list goes on. But what I was seeing was all these young agents and this hype, and I really started getting a feel for real estate and really appreciating the work and the effort and just Eastern Suburbs real estate. So it kind of made me want to get into real estate. Just seeing what was going on, and so that's how it started. Then I became an assistant at McGrath, and so
you were an assistant agent. Started
as an assistant
for
agent.
John or for
it was the Wayne Harker team. I was there very briefly. I was very young, but I was working really hard, and it was a year and a half, 2 years, and I then left that office. And really was a youngster. All my friends were still at university, going away, and I felt like I needed to do something different. So I studied sound engineering, and I became a sound engineer.
How old were you by then?
There I would have been about 21. I can't even remember. Around 21. Anyway, realised that, sound engineering was more of a hobby, and real estate was my passion. I then went to go work back in real estate and worked for a leasing company based in Rosebery, and they were Sydney-wide. So I was going from, so I had to get my foot back in the door. I was doing leasing, going from Auburn to Pymble. Their portfolio was across the board from. So
wow, and you were driving around,
which is great experience. And then I left that company and then joined a boutique office in Rose Bay called Julie Feller Real Estate. With Julie Feller, who's now my business partner, but she was predominantly a boutique company that only did management.
Right.
So I started leasing with Julie. And then started the sales team in that office. And here we are today, and we rebranded later on to become Century 21, which is a franchise. There's pros and cons with both, but I definitely did, ramp up the sales, because with the Julie Feller brand, there was a stigma attached to property management. So it was really hard for me to compete against the big guys in the East coming from that company, because I'd rock up and they'd say, "Oh, it's a property management business. You need a sales agency." And so,
wow. Okay. So going back, so you said you were studying advertising, and you've got hired by McGrath to take care of the advertising side of real estate.
As a junior. I wasn't head of advertising per se,
Yeah.
but I was coordinating at the time lineage ads.
Yeah.
They had a weekly publication which I helped put together for all the agents and promoting the agents.
Yeah.
So it was a really innovative company that changed the landscape, and a lot of agencies then followed suit.
That's so interesting. And by doing that, you've seen other agents, and I said like, oh, that looks good. You like got their attention.
And also seeing the different personalities, and there were a lot of different personalities in that office, and it was a time where I could reflect and see what I think would work for me.
Yeah.
And what works and what doesn't work, and every agent's got a different spin on things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no right or wrong.
I agree.
But what it did teach me was being authentic is probably the best characteristic as an agent.
Love it. Going back again, so you say you moved from South Africa. Did you study there, or you studied in Sydney? No.
I was at primary school, so
okay,
when I left there, I came into high school here, into year 7.
Got it.
Studied, I suppose. Did a marketing diploma after school.
Yeah.
Which tied in with the marketing at McGrath.
Yeah.
Then realised that this world of real estate, the young hustlers were out, and the energy, and I said I need to be involved.
Interesting. Okay, and why you've decided to do sound engineering after in the middle, like you said, oh, I need a break?
It was more a case of I've finished school, I'm working from 7 till 7.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I enjoy it, but life, I've got to fulfill.
Yeah.
I was young. Young, partying, whatever goes with that, and whatever ideas you have at 2 in the morning.
Exploring, testing, and see what. Okay, and after you did sound engineering, you realized, oh, this is more of a hobby. What got your attention to say, all right, I need to go back in real estate instead of, I don't know, try to be a doctor, or I don't know, doing another job?
One was I really missed the real estate side of things. And it's not just real estate; it's the people. Real estate's not bricks and mortar; it's relationships and people. Yes, obviously the bricks and mortar is a component of that, but it's the people, and that's where I flourish. I also had a girlfriend at the time who now is my wife, and she was like, "Listen, we need to start a family. We need to buy a house." Yeah. And so I had to kind of get serious.
Interesting. How long you been with your wife?
15 years.
Mate, well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for the congrats. I need it.
Okay, a few things you mentioned there, which is actually very important. You mentioned relationships and people. Okay. Yeah. When did you understand? Because now you have 20 years of experience and but when did you understand that this business is, I would say, 80-90% relationships?
Quite early on in the piece.
Yeah.
When I was doing leasing, obviously I was honing my skills. Confidence was getting, you need to get that confidence. Yeah. And you need to find out why, what's the plan, where they're coming from, where they're going. Yeah. And just getting a good picture of people's circumstances. Yeah. And everyone's got different circumstances. Yeah. You've then got the nature of the business, which is, as one of the agents at McGrath used to say, I don't know if you should focus on this concept, but one of the agents used to say, "Oh, this business is 3 Ds: death, divorce, and debt." But it's like, it's you've got to understand that you've got to put yourself in people's shoes, and you've got to you've got to be authentic, and you've got to be have empathy, and I learned that pretty early on. Wow,
the 3D. Okay, shall we mention
and upsizing, which is the best situation, family, having another baby, that's the ideal, but the reality is death, divorce, and debt is always a player, especially these days. It seems like it's
the 3Ds,
not uncommon.
Mate. No, I wanna mention that the reason why is because I wanna share all of these years of experience. For you, maybe it's kind of like it's another day at the office, but for people starting in the industry, it's good to give them like a kind of a path. Okay, great. And after you mentioned downsizing up, so did you understand straight away the type of client? Means, you can have the first home buyer, you can have the upsizers, and you can have the downsizers. These are the main three categories. Is that correct?
That's upsizers, downsizers. Yeah.
That's the main three. What would you say, like, how for maybe a new real estate agent or a new buyer's agent, like, what's the best way to work with the first home buyer compared to the upsizers, compared to the downsizers?
Look, I think it comes back to me again. I think it comes down to my own personal life experience. So when I was a first home buyer, I understand what it meant to be a first home buyer. When I got married, I understand what it meant to have a kid. So as you go by in life and as you have life experience, so it enables you to have that empathy and understand the buyer's wants and needs, or the seller's wants and needs. I come from a family, both my parents are remarried, but they were divorced. So I had that understanding of what it's like to come from that, and learn from it, which is very important because, as one of my mentors say, some gifts come very badly wrapped, but it's true.
Yeah, nice. Some gift comes badly wrapped. I like that one. Okay, man, you're giving so much juice already. Okay, so I'm taking notes. I'm just digesting what you mentioned. Okay, so in your case, you say your life experience / be relatable to them and understand their emotional state they are right now.
And really understand and really listen and really be interested. Not just, people aren't stupid. People can see through, in that living room. If you're going to just be a fast talker telling them how good you are in this sale and that sale, and but if you really listen and dig deep and understand, I think that's where the magic happens.
Man, I love that. And actually, from my personal experience with you, what I love about you, you just don't play games. Even like when you try to sell a property, like you exactly the same. Even if a person is not gonna buy from you, but you always leave that impression of, I don't feel like I'm dealing with a real estate agent.
I understand, and that's key. I am a real estate agent, and there's a lot of great practitioners and real estate agents out there. But again, to the newbies and anyone coming in, just find out who you are. Be authentic. There's some offices around my core area where there's certain types, and if you're going to, it's
just be authentic.
Be authentic, and whatever that means for the individual.
Yeah, that's important, because it's true. There are agents out there. Please, I'm not talking bad about them, because I deal with them all the time, and it's one of my core business, because me without agents, I'm nothing, to be honest. But
feel sorry for you, mate.
No, that's the truth. But this is more for people want to have a long-term career like the one that you do have. Is what I'm picking up from this conversation is understand the person needs and try to be in their shoes and treat them like you would treat yourself.
As corny as it sounds, yes.
Love it. Okay, now after that, actually going back, do you have any brothers, sisters?
I have a sister, yeah.
Okay, not in real estate?
Definitely not, no.
Okay, because she didn't like it, or
she's an academic.
Okay, great.
Definitely has her own skill set.
Yeah.
She's more arty and yeah.
Okay, what did she say when you started? Because now it's 20 years you established, but when you started, because I know family can influence a lot, especially when you start into the career.
Oh yeah, she didn't have much of an input. She was living overseas in Berlin at the time, so
got it.
Yeah. So she calls on me for advice and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's always helpful to have an agent in the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't have much input. My parents were very supportive. And yeah, look, it's a career that I believe that the path I was meant to go down.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe I have all the attributes, and without sounding wanky and too confident, but it's I'm comfortable, and it just it's second nature for me.
I agree that usually like the first 3 to 5 years are the most challenging one, I believe, to establish yourself.
Yeah.
After you pass that, it
doesn't get easier, and once you're established, you've got agents biting at your heels, and and these offices of hardcore prospectors, which is great.
Yeah.
But I've known, and I've got a name, so I'm not like a new agent that has to go out there and get their name out there and constantly call the same people 3 times a week and say, are you selling?
You're established.
And I've got a database, and my calls, and we'll get to the prospecting later, but my calls aren't are you wanting to sell? For me, the main thing for me, a lot of these young agents falter over, I've got a buyer for you, and the usual response is, where am I going to go? So I think the better call to make is, I've got a place for you.
Yeah.
You should have a look at it. Once they make a decision on that, I think selling their place is easier.
Right. Okay. That's a good detail. So let's go back to your first year as a sales associate. All right. How was the first year?
It was a bit daunting, and I was told I wasn't wearing the correct shoes. I wasn't smart enough. I need a better pen. I mean, the office I worked
Really?
in, yeah, the office I worked
Better
in.
pen. Okay.
Better pen. So I've got a better pen.
That's actually a pretty good pen compared to what I've got right now. Look at that.
No, that's okay. I wore Doc Marten shoes with yellow stitching, and one of the agents that I was working with says, you can't wear those shoes. So I went and got pointy shoes with no laces.
Tell us more about that, please. Like, what's
no
the
laces.
what's the belief
Image is
behind
everything. Image is everything. Cars look, which is true. You don't want to look like a grub. But again, you don't want to be that typical. These days, it's evolved. 20 years, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
So now it's and there's certain agents that have changed the landscape and what things. But again, you've just got to. The biggest deal I've ever done is in jeans and a t-shirt. So.
Wow.
And I get you've got to look crisp, and your promotional material needs to look crisp, and I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my first experience as a sales associate. But because I went from leasing and in a company that didn't do sales, I kind of threw myself in the deep end and was a lead agent from the get-go.
So as soon as you moved from leasing to sales, you were already...
Because the office I was with, the boutique office, as I said before, was a management-only office. So I started doing sales myself.
Right.
Which was a slow burn to start.
Interesting. So you didn't really have like someone coaching you and guiding you through...
I've always had coaches.
Within the office or some...
External. Always had coaches and real estate gyms. Not easy, but I've got a very supportive partner in the office and at home. My daytime wife, Julie, is very supportive of me, and my nighttime wife, my real wife, is also very supportive, which is great, which has also helped. So the hard work, it's my wife's also runs a business, so hard work is in our family, and we're on the phones all the time, and we both have an understanding of what it is to work.
So she runs her own business as well? What does she do?
She's got a public relations company.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so you both understand the value of hustle and...
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's important. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the old school things when you mention, and I want to bring it up. Yes, of course, the landscape has been evolving, moving and changing, and I love the fact that you said the 3D, and I love the fact that you said the pen and the shoes. So tell us a bit of a... Please, I know I put you on the spot. A fun story. So you went there. You were not wearing the right shoes. What did they say?
You're not wearing the right shoes. You need to wear smarter shoes. So I went and bought smarter shoes.
Straight away.
Pretty much straight away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they say like, oh, you can't go out there? You can't.
It was just like, what are those shoes?
Okay. What about the pen? Tell us the story about the pen. So they say you need to have a better pen.
He didn't say I need to have a better pen, but it was part of the conversation with the shoes. It was all about the shoes, all right? It was all about the shoes. In fact, nowadays I'd be comfortable wearing those shoes, and I'm fairly certain it wouldn't make a difference to whether I do the deal or not, or if someone employs me to do now.
But what I find it impressive from you is you started in sales without someone. Yes, of course having a coach is incredibly important, but having someone in the office taking you out every day, I don't know if we'll be able to be a buyer's agent without having someone guide me through every day, to be honest. So how did you the coach just gave you direction, do this, then
Look,
that, and
don't
you
forget,
just went out there.
I worked at that office when I left school, and that office, I absorb everything. I see, I learn, I take it on board. So I could see how all the agents were operating. I was working on their marketing, so I could see from the marketing side what that looked like. I could see the assistants and what they were doing for their, you know, for example, what Alex Phillips was doing for Pauline.
Yeah.
I don't know if you should include these names in the...
No, that's all right.
You know, but I could see what all the younger agents who are now gun practitioners, what they were doing for their bosses at the time, and I'd look at that, and I would be able to see what's right, what's wrong, and what would work for me. And it probably took me a bit longer to establish myself because I was doing it all on my own. But you make a mistake once, and you don't make it again.
Nice. Okay. Did they set you like with, okay, this is your day-to-day activities in order for you to get the numbers you want to hit? Did they give you like, oh, you need to do this amount of calls every day?
That only came later. That came later. I wasn't a fanatic prospector when I was starting out. I've got a big network of people that I know. I'm respected, and a lot of my sales are coming from referral. I was hardly prospecting. When I say I was hardly prospecting, I call people naturally. When I think of someone, if I drive past the property, I call that person just to have a chat.
Yeah. When you say referral from the leasing or referral from where?
Both. So when I was in leasing, I had a base salary, but I had commissions. I was making commissions on bringing in managements. So I started in bringing in management. So it brought up my confidence. It's dealing with landlords. It's the same sort of trust that you have when you bring in a management as a sale.
Yeah.
I was making connections. I was really good at databasing and putting them into my CRM.
Yeah.
And it's just time under the belt, and you make these relationships, and word gets around. It's a small community. You do something right, 2 people here. You do something wrong, 50 people here.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
That's a good point. You do something right, 2 people knows. You do something wrong, 50 people knows. That's so true.
It's true, isn't it?
100%. Love this one. Okay. So, and after, because at the end of the day, leasing, so property management is the core of the real estate business.
It's the goodwill within an office. I'm no good at a property manager. That's not my specialty. I've got people in my office that do that.
Yeah.
Because as we know, you've got to delegate to those that do things that you can't do.
Yeah.
I've got a great management team in our office.
Yeah.
We've got a big rent roll, and we've got staff that support that, from admin to property managers to admin assistants as well.
Nice. And when you got to the point where you start to spend more time prospecting, when did you decide? Like after how long?
Basically, as soon as I started getting coaching, which would have been 10 years ago, and I'm pretty strict with my prospecting now. And I don't like it calling prospecting, but having your own office and having a reasonably small office, you can have a prospecting plan.
Yeah.
My ideal would be 9 to 11, 3 45-minute call sessions. But when you've got an office, sometimes you can have that plan, but a staff member wants to talk to you about something, or your day can get thrown out. But it's still important to slot that prospecting in. So the way in an ideal world, an ideal day, I will do 3 45-minute sessions.
You still do it?
Still do it.
Wow. This is for everyone, like 20 years in the industry, established real estate agents. He doesn't need to, and he still does a 3 45 minutes block prospecting.
And 80% of the time, it's uninterrupted, but stuff comes up.
Yeah.
My wife could call. My kid needs a Porto's burger or something.
Yeah.
But it's important, because if I'm not calling, first of all, and it's broken down to existing clients, new clients, and buyers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I do call buyers.
That's okay, mate.
45 minutes every day.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because as we know, those buyers become sellers. And if I'm not calling them, someone else will.
Yeah. Nice. And you do this every day?
Every day.
Well done. And I believe you do this as well because as you evolved into your during the years, you become more of a leader. People watch you. You need to set the example. How did you change? Because, I believe there is a difference between when you just need to take care of yourself compared to you take care of the team compared to take care of the family. So how did it change? Like, when did you start to realize, all right, I need to get my shit together. I need to establish daily habits in order for me to get consistent results?
I think the more debt I put myself into, the more serious I got, the more kids we had. So we've only got 2 kids. But, as life gets serious, and it's not chasing the dollar. It's not commission breath, and it's not chasing the sale, but it's as life gets more serious, your priorities change, your daily health belief changes. Look, I think debt's important.
Yeah,
that is my driver. I'm not in an office where we have 4 sales teams and that sort of team, and there's definitely nothing wrong with those big teams.
Yeah,
I think they're great, and I've had them in the past, and it's just not working for me at the moment. That may change. I've got, I've been in a position where I've had sales assistants that were very similar to me,
right,
in terms of the way the day to day and the carrying on and the interactions.
Yeah.
And again, that taught me to employ people that can handle my, admin's not my forte. So
not a dollar productive activity. For your case. Okay.
Yeah. So again, concentrating on dollar productive activities, which for me is literally being on the phones and meeting people face to face.
That's what you focus on.
Face to face, belly to belly, as Charles Tarby from Century 21 says. You can have all these new social media and all these new lead generations, but at the end of the day, if you're on the phone making calls, being genuine, keeping your clients informed of recent stuff, not calling, hey, how are you? I've got a buyer for your house. Hey, James, just calling you, letting you know that 43 Brown Street sold. I know you're not thinking of selling, but good to know that it's sold for this price. What does that make your property worth now? Oh, I don't know, Danny. What is it? Look, based on that, I'd say yours is probably worth around this. Have you done any improvements? Let's catch up. I'd love to see what you've done. Nothing hard, soft, front of mind. It's just very important, and it's just being real.
Front of mind. Never a pest.
Never a pest. Because I can tell you, because I call my established clients that I've got really good relationships, and they're like, oh, Danny, this is the 4th. I'm like, I'm not calling you. I'm just calling you to say, hi, how you going? Yeah, but this person, I've had 3 calls from the same office this day. I'm like, good on them. They're doing their job, right? but they get pestered.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a pest.
Okay. I like that. So when you mentioned big team, small teams, so did you go, so you say you went through the stage when you had a lot of people, and now you just
not a
having
lot of
the
people,
right one?
but I had a sales assistant that works alongside me doing my callbacks, which I find very important for me to do myself. Everyone's different. I really enjoy doing callbacks. I really like delving into each buyer, looking at the picture. Every buyer is 3-dimensional. They got family, they've got properties, they may not have anything, but there's a story. I like finding out that story, and then making notes and putting it into my CRM, just so I've got that story. And it's a lot of magic happens with callbacks, and
really
you can teach that to assistants, but I just think, and I think for me a big win, and I shouldn't say a big win, but my unique selling proposition when I'm sitting with a vendor is I'm going to be at every open. A lot of agents, there are agents that are. I'm not running 16 opens every Saturday. But I average around 6. I'm at every open. I'm doing the callbacks. I'm getting the inquiry. Yes, I've got software that responds to the inquiry, but if there's a phone number, I'll always pick up the phone. And it's just comforting to know that for those vendors that I'm dealing with all that inquiry, and the admin side of things is done at the back end, and I've got staff for that.
So for people that do not know, the callbacks is after an inspections, which is, let's say, majority of the time is Saturdays. So what real estate agent do they call them on Monday, correct?
Some do, some call on Sunday.
Is there a reason behind?
I think the reason behind that is, hey, look how hard we work. We're calling on Sundays as well, which is impressive. to get a call. But people aren't interested on Sundays. I think from 2 p.m. on a Saturday, people aren't interested anymore. They want to just continue with their weekend. So the callbacks, it depends on what the property is. If it's a house that I'm selling, there's a good chance the buyers that have come through own a 3-bedroom unit or a 2-bedroom unit or a semi that they're upsizing to. You know, if there's a 3-bedroom unit, there could be a 2-bedroom unit. So it's just finding out the story and depending on what callbacks I'm doing.
That's interesting. And you do it yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. That's a key point, actually. Okay, so that's something I didn't know. They do callbacks on Sunday as well. Interesting. Okay. Do you think they do it because better answering ratio, pickup ratio? Possibly. Also, people are very relaxed on a Sunday. You know, you can do your callbacks on a Monday afternoon, and I find first thing in the morning, and everyone's got their own way of doing things. A lot of agents will call first thing on a Monday morning, 8 o'clock, where people are just getting their day started. But it depends, you know. It's a bit, if they've got kids, they're getting ready for school, or people are busy. So I find the afternoons are good, or into the evening when people are home. Everyone's different. You just got to find out what sort of works for you. You suggest afternoon is good, evenings after 5, maybe after they pick up the kids from school.
Yeah.
That's okay.
They're very important to do the callback.
Yeah.
Because when you don't call back, you don't know that potential vendor will be like, this guy, I haven't even heard from this guy.
Yeah. The next question is regards habits.
Yeah.
Okay, so after all of these years in real estate, I believe you have optimized your, you know, spending time to the right people, to the, you know, understanding what's your most dollar productive activities where you should spend most of your time. So I would love to hear what's your day to day. So what time you wake up, let's say, roughly?
I've gone through stages of waking up at 5 a.m. and training.
Yeah.
Then because I think it's very important to have my own time.
Yeah.
Because with families and the kids and, you know, that sort of 7 a.m. is chaos. So what I like to do is I haven't been training, physical training for the last, I hurt my back, so I haven't done that for the last 6 months. But what I was doing was waking up at 5:30, going for a run, going to the gym, coming home, taking the dog for a walk, getting home, seeing the kids, walking down to the bus and sending them off. And then literally my office is at the bottom of my street. So I'm in at 8:30. But yeah, it's important for me to have that, whether even if it's a half an hour, just me.
Yeah.
Try not to look at emails in the morning. My habits have changed over time.
Yeah.
But pretty important not to look at emails until kind of I get into the office, because
like 9 a.m. or something.
8:30. Yeah.
Right.
8:30, 9 a.m. is the callback start.
Right. So you don't look at the phone until 8:30 until you get to the office.
Ideally, yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you just.
Sometimes, look, my weekly habits have changed slightly, but generally I'm up nowadays. Winter, 6 o'clock wake up, half an hour to myself, doing whatever it is, whether it's going for a run, taking the dog up to the cliffs, walking, seeing the ocean, getting the air, breathe, meditate if need be. You know, late last year, and you know, I was meditating at 12 o'clock in the day after prospecting, just for a half an hour, just concentrating on breath work, just to kind of hone in. And so my habits do change, but I'm pretty structured from 9 a.m.
Okay, what time do you leave the office normally?
I'm in and out all the time. I'm always out of the office, but I'm always working, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you do
from 1 o'clock, I'm generally out of the office.
1 o'clock, okay. And you do your appointments?
Appointments, just face-to-face, existing clients, new clients, market, you know, just appraisals, just depends. Ideally, I try book 2 to 3 face-to-face appointments every afternoon. Try.
So when you say appointments, is someone potential vendor? Potential
vendor or past client. Can't forget your past clients. They are my past, and this comes with over 20 years of working. I've got enough past clients that really everyone just focuses on you, and there's a lot of agents out there, great agents, that focus on new business, and they do it so well that they've got a business. But the past client, you can't forget your past clients.
Yeah. So have you Yeah, because you've seen like a good cycles. You know, people they move from first home buyer to upsizers.
100%.
Have you sold?
Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
For the same person.
Same person.
That's so interesting. So
Which is amazing, and I never take it for granted. Genuine. I don't want to sound wanky, but I never take it for granted because it's to sell for the same family 3 times, and I've got numerous clients like this. And again, don't get me wrong, I still have to fight for that business.
Yeah.
Because there's another agent biting at their heels and has been for the last 3 years. But you know, the 7-year itch is now the 4-year itch. Life moves so quickly. It used to be 7 years back when I started that people would make a move.
Yeah.
Now it's 4 years. People.
Is it?
From what I've experienced, yeah.
Yeah, usually, yeah, the data say like 5 to 7 years, but yeah, 4 years.
Everything
quickly,
moves so quick.
I know. Now, mentioning that, because I believe when you started 20 years ago, like was a little bit different from a technology point of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The marketing, the DocuSign, it was like more all physical. Like, now you use DocuSign, all electronic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference would you say now you've been applying into your business compared?
There's so much noise and there's so many, and there's some great technology, which I've definitely embraced, and it's super important to embrace technology, and you've got to, you can't become a dinosaur, you've got to keep up. But what is it that you want to, you've got to choose, because you can get analysis paralysis. You can just look at, just these there's just so much. So the technology that I reckon's really working for me now is definitely the AI stuff. So Rita and CoreLogic working hand in hand.
Rita, yeah.
So Rita's basically, it's now been bought by CoreLogic, which is RP Data, but it speaks to my database, my CRM. So if something's just listed, it provides me, it basically sends me an alert that says this property's just been listed, and it matches it to those people in my database just to give them a call.
Really?
And that's which is an amazing tool.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, so that can give me a call sheet. That can be my first 45-minute session. Hey, John, Oswald Street's just been listed.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted on the result. Are you interested? Oh, Danny, I'd love to keep you. Or no, don't worry about it. But generally, they want to be kept in the loop. So when that sells, John, just letting you know, Oswald just sold for X. Yeah. Have a great day.
Which one you use? Which CRM you use?
Just Century eSales, which is not one of the big ones that Volt. It's not like Volt or Agent Box. But it's a great. It's basically a Century 21 CRM, and it's as good as you want it to be. If you put in the work and you keep it clean, it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does the same functions it performs the same functions as all the others. And
yeah, Rita has automated SMS.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes. Yeah, so every morning, so Rita helps me nurture my database, and I think a clean database. A clean database is important, because it's useless having a database of names and numbers where you're just sending irrelevant information, because then you just get unsubscribes left, right, and center. So if it's clean and the buyers are categorized into the correct groups, right price ranges, right areas, right criteria, and monitored on a yearly basis, because buyers' criteria change.
Yeah.
So it needs to be kept clean, which is a big job in itself.
That's so good. I didn't know. Like I spoke.
Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
Yeah. No, but yeah. Well, if you understand it and you use it intelligently, can maximize your time, I would say.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Some good juice there. The next question is in regards new people want to start into the industry.
Yes.
Let's say someone want to say, Denny, I want to get into real estate. Can I work for you? What are you looking for? You have someone in your team. What's the criteria? What do you expect?
Firstly, I would like to know. So my expectations are fairly high.
There you go.
But it's personality.
Yeah.
Hard work. Just don't watch these TV shows and see all this stuff and know that that's because great that those people do it and have done it, but they don't see that's the top of the the ice cap. At the bottom, there's all
Yeah,
that
I
work
see.
that's gone into it.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about how they appearance,
Yeah.
care,
Yeah.
and just, it's just so hard these days with the, I sound old, but the new generation just wants something for nothing, just want to take it
Yes.
easy, and the hard work has gone out the door. But what people need to know is that there's a lot of hard work. You see the glitz and glamour, but there's so much hard work behind the scenes. So back to your question, loyalty, authenticity, and
Work ethic.
not so much of an ego. I get ego. I've got an ego, but there's a time and a place to use it. And yeah, I think just having the right ethic, moral compass for me, and that's what's got me to where I am today, because I believe I've got a good moral compass. But I think it's important.
Especially when you operate in a specific pocket, start to get smaller, and after 20 years, everybody knows you.
Correct.
Very good. Okay, so what do you expect is good moral, authentic, good work ethic?
Good work ethic. Easier said than done.
I agree. I agree.
And do not be afraid of long hours. Work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Like I do.
Have you noticed differences? Because I believe you've been in the industry 20 years and people come and go, and I believe like people they actually last in the industry. Is a kind of a natural selection. Do you know what I mean? I believe.
Yeah.
What would you say are the attributes that never changes in the industry? Of course, technology changes, market changes, interest rate.
Rejection never changes.
Yeah.
And it's how you approach that rejection.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot. And that takes a long time. And that's why the fallout is so huge, because there's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
And you can't let that 5 minutes of rejection dictate the rest of your day, because it'll take you away from the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
So you've got to move on and go next, which is something that one of the top agents is very good at.
Yeah.
Just next. The next mentality is move
Next
on.
one.
Just move on. Don't let that bring you down, because it's and
Yeah.
it's and I'm guilty of it. You can miss out on something, and then you go into an appraisal and your energy levels are low. Whereas you walk in, it's an energy game.
Yeah.
And back to what I would want from an employee is energy.
Yeah.
And that comes down to those daily habits, and not staying. Nothing. Go out when it's time to go out. But
Yeah.
But if you're going to work the next day,
Yeah.
you want to have that energy, because people feed off that energy. Your staff, the office, the clients, they pick it up.
Yeah. Energy.
You've got a great energy.
Thank you, man. Stop it. Nah, thank you, man. I agree, actually. I was reading a book, actually, from Robin Sharma, which say that at the moment, energy can be more valuable than intelligence. Now, doesn't mean you need to be dumb, but at the same time, and especially in the industry, I believe, I don't have 20 years of experience, but...
Seems like you do.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, but what I'm picking up from people like you is, people, genuine, work ethic, energy. I love that one.
Yeah.
Mate, very good. Thank you so much for this. If not, I keep asking you question. The last 1/2, and this is just my curiosity. So someone come in your office, is the first day, you say, mate, I expect from you to do 100 call, as an example. I expect you to do this, and that. So what's would you say, expectation when someone come and work with you, for you, that they need to sustain every day in order for them to have a long-term career?
Look, if someone's going to work for me in sales, I want them to have worked in all facets of my office. So whether it be reception, which will then lead into leasing, because if anyone wants to everyone goes, I want to become, and this back to the question of what would I tell a young agent who's never been in real estate?
Yeah.
First of all, focus on whether it's a property management role that you're good at, or leasing. For me, it was leasing. Leasing, you get to learn the product, you get to learn the spiel, you get the confidence, you're meeting the clients, and I wouldn't really employ someone to work with me if they haven't had some sort of experience in leasing.
Right. They need
or
to
sales. Yeah,
they need to understand the foundations.
The demographic wants and needs, plus the properties.
Yeah.
You got to have knowledge.
Yeah.
There needs to be a level of knowledge.
You spend a lot of time and money on coaches still? Like, who do you use, if you know what I mean? Tom Panos?
Tom Panos, Josh Fegan at one stage, still, but Tom Panos, real estate gym, and some one-on-one interactions.
Big Tom.
Big Tom, yeah.
Nice, very good, mate. Last couple of questions, because more you talk, more things I want to know. So it's been already 45 minutes. Wow. Other things is, this is more, what are you seeing in the market April, May 2024? Time of recording. Eastern Suburbs, Sydney.
Hopefully more stock. Stock has been tight, but thankfully I've had the inventory, but it didn't just come to me.
Yeah.
But I've had a very consistent run this year and last year, but stock is tight. At the moment, there are buyers, but the ratios are working. The stock levels to buyer ratio is working. I think if there was an influx of stock now, things may soften, but it's work. I don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. There's talk of them going up again. I don't think they will. I think that would be. I think it would be a big issue because there's a lot of owners that are kind of holding on. I still think there's a lot of investors are offloading because they're just not getting even though the rentals are high at the moment, or they've come off a little, they're not getting, and now they've got their principal price of residence plus their investment. There's just things are expensive, so they're offloading their two-bedders.
Okay, this is a tip for buyers from 20 years real estate agents. So let's say, what's your tip from a first home buyer? I know you're very good because you're good with them to explaining them, educating them, but not everyone has 20
years. You guys are better.
Thank you, man. Send it to me, please. No, so what's the tip would you give to someone want to buy in the East, 2-bedroom apartment, has got up to 1.5? All right, what's the best approach to help them to action the purchase? Because especially the first purchase can get through an never-ending overthinking and then never pull the trigger.
If you walk into a property, a lot of buyers, first home buyers, they don't play games, but it takes, for first home buyers are different because they've got to miss out on a few to realise what went wrong and why didn't I get that? I should have bought it. But I think the main thing is not to play games with the agent. Show your intent. If you're walking into a property and you like it, don't talk about the plaster ceilings, how you don't like. Say you like the property. You like the property. You want it. What do I need to do to get it? Keep the agent on side because at the end of the day they'll work with you if you're not going to play a game. But if you're going to walk in there and you're going to start talking about how bad the property is and what an expert you are, but just don't have to tell them your price, but just show them that you're interested and you want to buy it.
I love that. A lot of them, even with me being their buyer's agent, often they don't always give all. I just bought a property in Bondi recently, and we started the initial price in the brief was 1.2, and I told her, hey, with 1.2, that's what you can get. But everything they liked was around 1.4, 1.5. I say, hey, if you want something like that, you need to increase the budget. What do you want to do? And after we increased the budget to 1.4, we ended up buying for 1.550. Okay, I am a buyer's agent.
You ended up buying for 1.550.
Correct. Right. Okay. Yep. So it's good what you're saying. Like, yes, I understand you don't want to tell all the cards, but be open about it with the people. So
what you're saying is your client didn't open their card, didn't show you their cards. They were saying they had a budget of 125 and they ended up buying for 1.5. So they should have perhaps also with you in an open book. So but I think that comes with time and missing out on a couple of properties. Also attending auctions is a very if you can't secure it prior, and I know that you're very good and you secure stuff prior to auction all of the time. But it's quite a daunting. It's an environment I love and thrive in. But for a first home buyer, it's quite a daunting experience. So it's good to get familiar with the auction room, like a little fish there. When you buy a new fish, you float it in the tank for a bit. So I think you've got to get used to that environment.
So attend the auction to actually have a proper feeling of the market and the level of demand, how many active
And the
bidders are
intensity
there.
and the stress and the, you know, it's for a first time buyer, it's very daunting.
It can be. If you need help, just call me. No
Yeah,
worries.
100%.
Now, as a buyer's agent, when I see someone who's been looking for
Why?
a long time, correct. For me, if you've been looking for more than 6 months, that is something that you're doing. And usually these people, they come and work with me. Okay, they don't come straight away the majority of the time. So what's the tip you give to these people that taking too long to find the property to actually ending up buying something? And these, I would say, they want to upsize. Okay, so the
Right.
family's getting bigger.
Yep.
They got kids. They want to get something around the 2-3 mil mark, and they've been looking for long. What's the tip?
First of all, find out what was the last property you missed out on. It's
Yeah.
a great question. And this is how I qualify my buyers at open homes as well, and on the phone callback. What was the last property you missed out? Oh, we haven't missed out on anything. How long have you been looking? 9 months. All right. So you've got finance in place. Yes, finance is in place. So what is it? Oh, you know. So it's a tough one. If they've been looking for 9 months and they haven't bought, maybe their expectations are high. And at the 80-20 rule, if it ticks 80% of the boxes, that's good. Because nothing is going to be perfect. But it's just a case of, you know, and I think, and when you've looked for that long, and it depends, as I said, it depends if you've missed out or you haven't missed out. So if you've missed out, it's great. That means they have actually committed to something.
Yeah.
But if it's, oh, this wasn't right, that wasn't right,
Yeah. So not focusing on the details, 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, compromise so you're not going to find perfection.
Know your key attributes, like if a car space, which I'd always recommend looking at something with a car space, you know, but just compromise on certain aspects of the property.
Yeah. Good point.
Otherwise the market will move and move and move and you'll end up not buying. And I've seen this with a lot of my clients. They've wanted to upsize. They've said, oh, we're going to sell, we'll rent for a bit. And the market's just moved.
Yeah.
And the criteria are unrealistic.
So how do you adapt when the market moves? What do you do? What's the because the market moves, you just, as a good agent, you need to adapt to the market.
Correct.
The market doesn't adapt to you.
For me, there's a market in every market. So, you know, when units were selling, when units were in hot demand, and yes, the commissions aren't as big when you're selling apartments, but if you're doing volume, you know, that's a market. Whereas houses, I'm kind of in that sort of 2 to 10 million range. My market's not that 20 to 50. There's other agents for that. I know what I specialize in, and I concentrate on that. And that market, even in the last 20 years, that sort of 2 to 10 million has been pretty strong. What I have seen though in the last couple of years, in the last year and a half, is those knockdowns are a lot harder to sell because of the building costs. So what used to be a renovator's dream is now too much work, too much effort. We'd rather pay a premium for something that's newly built or near new. So those old Californian bungalows that used to be really amazing properties to sell still are, but they're a lot harder to get over the line.
Yeah, I have a client like that actually. That's interesting you say that. Well, what's your plan for the next 5-10 years?
Keep healthy, keep my family healthy, keep the business healthy. We want to grow the business.
Yeah.
Not we don't want to take over the world.
Yeah.
But my next step would be scaling it up and building a sales team of lead agents, not, you know, and basically just have agents working with me. So I used to have another business, I don't want to get into it, but I had another business partner which we no longer have, which is great. Julie and I, we bought him out, which is, we won't mention names, but so that's changed things a little because that was the plan to grow a sales team, but it just didn't work out. So I would like to have a few lead agents working under my banner. The consumer has no idea whether it's LJ Hooker, Rain and Horn, Century 21, or Ray White. They don't know. So, but what it is, it's a franchise does offer support.
Yeah.
It offers training. It's a credible brand. You can't rely on the brand. You've got to rely on yourself. But you know, you need a franchise that does look after the franchisees. C21's great. It's come a long way since we started. We rebranded, the company rebranded, really good back end, really good internationally, really good marketing, and at the end of the day, it it's just when you're competing against a smoller independent office, I don't think they have the reach as a franchise has, or the story that a franchise has. Don't publicize this, but it's just a story. Yeah. Really, but it's more, as an agent, we focus on listing and selling and running the business. We don't want to have to worry about logos, marketing, all the, you know, that's for them to handle. There's a lot. For a smaller office, you just don't. I don't want that headache. I just want to concentrate on listing, selling.
Yeah, you focus on now mentioning the dollar productive activities, and they can take care of the rest, which is the brand and the marketing and stuff. Very good. Denny, hey, thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me.
It's been more than 45 minutes. I told you 30. No. I appreciate your time. A lot of juice, more than 20 years of experience. But people can find you online, Instagram.
Just Google Denny Taylor Real Estate. It's fine.
It's going to come up. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, man.
This is general advice and does not take into consideration your objectives, situation, or needs. You should consider if this advice is suitable to you or your circumstances, and please read any applicable PDS beforehand. This is a Henderson podcast production.